It's come to my attention that the first video I made on sampling on the Octatrack is too long. So we're going to try this again and we're going to make it quicker. Here we go. Okay, I have this beat. Sounds like this. It's great. It's an amazing beat. So, first things first, function record 1. I'm going to choose to record on track 7. I have tracks 6 and 7 allocated for sampling, for live sampling. So I'm going to go to 7 and we're going to set our recording setup here. So I'm recording out of A and B. You want it set to here because it's stereo. I'm using my OP1 field if you can see it down here. Now you don't want it set to A plus B because that will be big mono. It'll sum them both. So A and B. A space B, that's recording stereo. In CD, don't worry about that. R length, that is recording length. I want it set to 64. Now, one thing real quick, you probably want your whatever track you're recording on to be the exact same length as what you set in recording length. Makes sense. So I'm going to set that to 64. Now we'll go back here. Trig, leave that on 1. Source 3 blank. Loop on. Function rec 2. Now you want to set fades in and out so that way you don't have any clicks or pops. You also wouldn't have to worry about that in this case because of the nature of how I'm going to show you how to sample. You wouldn't have to do the fade, but it's good practice. Do it anyway. A and B and C and D, you don't need those as long as you can hear what it is you're sampling. That has to do with monitoring. Q rec, that is quantize rec, quantize recording. So I have it set to 16. So that means that as soon as I arm the track for recording, that means within 16 steps of me pressing it, it's going to start recording. So basically, all that means it's going to start recording on the next page. So normally I'll press arm around here and then it'll start recording by the time it loops around once. Not the pattern length, just to the next page. So 16 steps. Okay. QPL, that is quantize play. I have it set to pattern length. That means that as soon as we're done sampling, it's going to start playing the sample at the end of the pattern. Or the beginning of the next pattern, I should say. Okay, so that's all good and dandy. So let's go back to recording 1. It might not matter, you can be in either one. Hit record, and you'll notice I have this weird flashing trig here. That is a recording trig, a sampling trig, however you want to look at it. So to do that, you press function and 1. So that means that it's ready. When it's yellow, that means as soon as you arm the track, it will start recording. The reason I use those is because I don't want it to record every single time it passes that trig. So that's why you use that. Okay, now the final thing we want to make sure, well, a couple things. Let's go ahead and lay a trig right here on step 1 of page 1. Keep in mind, again, this is a 64-step pattern. Now, leave that there so that way as soon as we're done sampling, it'll start playing the sample right there. And then the final thing, double tap on T7 and make sure that it's set to recording 7, which is the recording buffer for track 7. You can set it to a different one if you want, but in this case, recording 7. Okay. Now, we're ready to go. So we can actually start sampling while the pattern is playing. So the way that we do that, for now I'm going to disarm it. So the way that we do that is press yes. That will arm the track and then it'll start recording the next time around on the next page, basically. So that way you don't have to worry too much about, you know, pressing arm and then start playing like at the same time. That's too hard. You know what I mean? That's for like superhuman alien people. So in this case, we want the Octatrack to help us out a bit. So I'm going to try and press arm, you know, in this area, and then that way it'll be ready to record by the time it reaches 1 again. So, okay. So I'll do it here, press arm, and then it's ready. Let's do that again because that was terrible. Okay. Okay, now I have a... okay, I'm just going to delete that by recording over it. Bam. Okay, here we go. So now we're playing. So I'm going to arm the track right around here, and then get ready. Okay, now what you can hear is the sample that I recorded. You might have heard a little bit of overlap there, and the reason for that is because the sample started playing as I was still playing, but it wasn't recording. So there you have it. We've sampled onto here. If you want to mess around with that, go to the audio editor. You can see that there is indeed a sample in there. You can move it around. You can zoom in. You can make it look completely black like that. You know, you can also put effects on it and stuff like that. That's up to you. That's beyond the scope of this video. We're going to keep this short, 6 minutes. I would like to see someone do a video shorter than 6 minutes. All right. Thank you guys. I'll see you in the next one.